All right, I'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you very much for coming today. We are going to have a lovely lineup. Today we have translation in both Portuguese and Spanish. Portuguese will be done by Yogini Mataji, and Spanish translation will be done by Lilamrita Dasi. We will, so if you need to, what you can do is click on the globe icon at the bottom of the screen, and you will be able to get the language translation in Portuguese or Spanish. I almost feel like translating in Portuguese or Spanish, but that'll be good. All right, today we have a lovely lineup. I would like to welcome everyone. So this is His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami's Vyasa Puja online celebration for 2023. Today we have session 1 beginning now. First, we will have a talk by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami in video format. Next, we will have Guru Puja and a talk by His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami at the Samadhi in Mayapur. Next, we will have a quiz. And following, we will have a talk by His Holiness Bhakti 𝐁𝒍𝒍𝒐𝒃 Swami. A poem offering will be read by children from Nairobi Yatra in Kenya. Next, we will have a talk by His Grace Mukunda Das. And following, we will have another session 2 after an hour break. So I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to be here with us. So first, we would like to present a video by His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami entitled Krishna Consciousness Being Desire Management. This video is a new video from His Grace Ajmal Prabhu's YouTube channel. So we look forward to this exciting video to begin our morning or afternoon or evening, depending on which part of the world you are from. And just remember, if you need language translation in either Portuguese or Spanish, you can click the globe icon at the bottom of the screen. And right now we will begin in just a second. Thank you for being here.
Children at heart. Matter of fact, one of the very nice things about this time of the year for us is we do get a chance to see how the children are growing. We can reflect back to some of the children when they were born, little toddlers. And each year we see how they're forming their own personalities. We see each year, and I'm sure the parents can see that better than anyone. Children are gradually manifesting their own personalities. So I was just thinking that some of them were performing, and I was reflecting on their ages. And then I was trying to project 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years or so in the future. And hope to be around. Older than they are now, and 10 years older. I hope we're all around to see how they flourished and how their personalities unfold. And hopefully how they unfold based on how much we have helped them. We know that we can make a better world, just like we can make a better institution, we can also make a better world, better family, better institution, better world. As we become better parents, as we become better supporters of the parents and of the children. Because Yashoda was saying that yes, the children are the real barometer of what is going on in community and in the world. In spiritual communities, we want to be careful that we don't steal the youth from the children by trying to get them to be more mature than what they need to be at their ages. At the same time, we want to coach them for higher and higher achievements. And often, according to how one is lovingly coached and challenged, then the children can take to a higher and greater level of excellence. It's like if we consider the children can only do really, really very basic things, they'll just do that. But if we give them more opportunities and more responsibilities, have more trust, more faith, and encourage and empower them, then we'll see that they will be able to take more advantage of such. See some of the children and some of their performances, and so as community, as family members, as parents, so you're trying to encourage your children, and they are learning something and they're sharing something. I want to just talk maybe just 5-10 minutes or so, because it's Children's Day, right? Not the day for you or for them to have to be sitting, for a long lecture. But I'm leaving in a few days, and so each moment I'm with you, I want to make it a quality association. In 3 or 4 days or so, then I start doing some international travel again to many, many different countries. I want to just look at the theme of Krishna consciousness being desire management. We hear about stress management, we hear about time management, and we hear basic management in terms of business, where the bottom line is in how to make more capital. But in many ways, spiritual life is desire management. Meaning that success has to do with being able to recognize and to have healthy desires that are not necessarily stopped or denied, but that are used and channeled in a way that it enhances consciousness and development for the children, for the families, for the community. We never want to embark upon the spiritual journey in the mood that spiritual life is just rules and regulations, or it's just something monotonous and boring. Because even when people do like that, they will not have a sense of longevity, or they will develop some dysfunctionalism in the process. Because by our natural constitutional position, we are full of desire for adventure, for creativity, and for exploration. And so sometimes there can be an overreaction in spiritual community where everything becomes just a matter of obligations and rules and a lack of expressing and honoring individuality and creativity. And so we don't want to deny desires, nor do we want to consider that life or community is just free-flow expression of desires. Because then it means people have no boundaries, no etiquette, and no understanding of the role that can be played or should be played as we honor our needs and make our commitments and our services to the society. So we want to be accountable, and being accountable means there is certain criteria and stipulations and some order and some structure. And so in many, many cases, unhealthy life is extremes in either way. Extremes and unhealthy, artificial, dry, boring renunciation. And extremes where people are not being mature or accountable and not enjoying and ready to make some sacrifice and commitment, and not even enjoying the beauty of austerity, when it is a part of creativity and what is a part of an offering of love as community members bond together, struggle together, learn together, And as the song, the saints come marching in, and as the sadhus march back to the spiritual kingdom together. So, we have this expression every day, or chance every day, to say yes to looking at what our desires are and trying to see how to align those desires more and more with that will bring about the greatest good for the greatest number of people, that will be in accord to the plan of the Lord of Krishna. And so sometimes we have to just, remind ourselves. We do not have to be intimidated or embarrassed or reluctant to live according to certain desires that we have. We don't have to feel ashamed that we have certain propensities, idiosyncratic tendencies. If those tendencies and propensities don't somehow help to add to a healthy community of love, then there is some problem. But within the society of love and association, and the sanga, there is so much room. And so when we have these chances to be together during this time of the year, where children are doing some little musical offering, it reminds me, one, of how they're growing from year to year. It makes me more prayerful about their futures. Makes me more appreciative of the parents and what you all do in trying to raise your children. It makes me happy and also afraid of praying and hoping that we can offer the best of support as possible, so that the children will have a distinct life, distinct character, distinct desires that they are happy with for what they're doing, and that it remains within the parameters of a spiritual lifestyle. Our children, see, if we deny very natural desires, then we create hard-hearted adults and hard and dry-hearted children who later want to even run away from what seems to be artificial and not genuine and real. But if we do not lovingly create some boundaries and have good role models, then our children will be so lost with all the relativity and transitory things that's going on and will increase in the next decade like anything. Even though they may pursue some career, there'll be another person who has a career and who is on medication due to depression, or who is going to a job, hating a job and hating themselves. But if we can give them this constant understanding of higher knowledge is something that is relevant to today, and it allows them to cope in the world while they're in the world but not fully of this world, then we've done something very special. But if we have, and last point, if we have an environment where the community members are being watchful and protective, then we don't have to do what people are doing all over in the West now, is that they're instilling their kids with so much fear that they got to run from strangers, they got to do this too, they got to be careful about people saying there's somebody just touching their head. They're just giving these kids so much fear. But what can they do when there's so much threat of danger? But if we're able to regulate the environment more ourselves as adults, then we don't have to transfer that kind of fear to the children, where the kids have to be afraid to be creative, afraid to play, afraid to be able to honor adults, afraid to be able to associate. Kids should be able to feel that when they leave their home and they're in community, they go next door or down the street, that they're going to be taken care of as well as their uncle or auntie or cousin, or almost like mother, father would. Nobody, of course, is going to take care of the kids much as they take care of the mother, father. We don't expect that. But they should feel that they're just like going to the auntie's house, the uncle's house, next door to play with the children. And that if they're hungry, they have an accident, they have a problem, they have a need, whatever, that is going to be taken care of.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful video, definitely describing some timely and current events that are very much present. Definitely, we should not live in fear, and also we should raise our children in a way that they are also not being trained to live in fear by any means. All right, again, I just want to make sure everybody is welcome to the first session of the Vyasa Puja online celebrations of 2023 for His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. And if you are here for the first time and you have a language that is Hindi, Spanish, or Portuguese, please click the icon at the bottom of the screen that is the globe so that you can get your translation. All right, and you can also write any questions, and if you have any issues, that ask your servant. So next we have His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami, who is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami and has began serving ISKCON since the 1980s.
It's a simple offering.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. We're very fortunate to get this darshan from Mayapur. Jai. Right now we're witnessing and seeing the samadhi in Mayapur and getting darshan. Very, very fortunate.
Krishna Shakti Mataji, just to add that the decorations and the cake was organized by disciples and grand disciples of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, especially for today. They went to a lot of that. So thank you, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you all. And thank you. All right, so next week, okay, so we're gonna call on the devotees in Mayapur, I guess, to offer the, garland to Maharaj. All right.
Savana Mataji, we have to offer the garlands.
And while that's going on, maybe I'll finish with the introduction, just in case. I think we'll do.
Are we audible?
Okay, so I think okay, there we go. Maybe we can put the spotlight on His Holiness Bhakti Damodara so we can get full darshan. So right now Maharaj is garlanding His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami's photo in the Pushpa Samadhi in Mayapur. Thank you very much, and thank you to all the devotees who beautifully decorated Pushpa Samadhi. So beautiful. Jai. Thank you very much. All right, so we are going to continue and we're going to introduce His Holiness Bhakti Damodara Swami. And so Maharaj has been serving since the 1980s. He's the first African sannyasi and Diksha guru in ISKCON. He regularly teaches the Bhakti Shastri and Bhakti Vaibhav courses at Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education and at Mayapur Institute, facilitates numerous seminars on the practical aspects of Krishna consciousness philosophy, such as community building, self-sufficiency, and many others. He has also authored a book entitled Spiritual Connection, Understanding the Dynamics of Guru-Disciple Relationship to help devotees take the next step in their spiritual journey. He tours and preaches extensively in Brazil, India, Mauritius, and Seychelles, the United States, and different countries within Africa to deliver this message of Krishna consciousness. Following the desire of his spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami is also developing vibrant Krishna-conscious, self-sustainable farm communities in Ghana, Nigeria, Africa. Maharaj is also known for his humility, gravity, and deep knowledge of the scriptures, being a perfect example of living his Guru's legacy. And we'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodar, who will be speaking today on, will be giving us a wonderful reflection on.
Are we audible, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Okay, all right. So nobody heard anything that I said just now?
No, I heard.
Okay. All right. So we would like to welcome Maharaj and thank him.
Can you hear us, Mataji?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so,
we can hear you. Please
thank
carry on and hand over to Bhakti Tirtha Damodar Maharaj for the Guru Puja.
Yes, thank you. We can start the Guru Puja.
So right now we're getting a wonderful darshan from His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Samadhi in Mayapur. His Holiness Bhakti Damodara is offering Guru Puja, which will be followed by Pushpanjali and then a Boga offering. Again, we are getting the fortune of having darshan of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami's Samadhi in Mayapur, where His Holiness Bhakti Damodar is leading Guru Puja, which will be followed by Pushpanjali and a Boga offering, followed by Maharaj's lecture. It's nice to get darshan of everyone there. Jai.
Krishna Krishna Hare Mate Bhakti Sorry, Maharaj. We'll be fine. Bottom of the very Charya. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Prabhupada, Bhante Gudi Vaishnav, Ramacharya Hari, Precious Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa, Gaura Bhakti Shri Krishna, Gopal Gopinath Shem, Radha Kunda Giri Garoda. Jamuna Maiti. There is a box of the key. He died. Go the key. All glory is a secret. All glory is a secret. Glory to Shishi Guru Sri Go Ranga. Prabhu ki.
Pushpanjali.
Now we're gonna perform Pushpanjali. You can all get some flowers and come closer.
Krishna Shakti Mataji, Srivas Manachari Prabhu would be leading us with the Pushpanjali.
Okay.
So,
All right.
You can put it here. So no, this is something. So if you speak, we'll go.
So we're going to do the Pushpanjali ceremony of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. So we're going to chant the Mangal Charana prayers. And then when we come to the last Chief Gurudev's prayer, Pranam prayer, then we will offer the flowers 3 times. Om Jnana Timirasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Pada Kamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnastam Vitam Tam Sanjivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Sya Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami iti namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Asri Tadmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha iti namine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Desatarine Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varsapanavi Devi Daitaya Kripadaya Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhurya Jwala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shrimurtaye Dina Tarini Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Shakshat Aragya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambode Padam Bujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachiranandana Mine Gora Shakti Swarupaya Rupa Nugavarayate Gora Vibhava Bhumistram Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Sri Jagannathayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratrize Namaha Panchatattva Makam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhakta Vataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandar Mate Gati Masarva Swapadam Bujo Radha Mandana Mohano Divya Vindaranya Kalpandru Manda Srimat Radnagara Simha Sarastau Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Christiali Sevia Manos Marami Srimam Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Vata Tatastita Karsavenu Swanai Gopi Gopinata Sri Estunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Now we are going to chant Gurudev's pranams, and then when we finish 3 times, we're going to do it. We throw the petals, flower petals, complete obeisances, and then we do it 3 times. Nama.
Everybody should keep your flower, because if you throw from there, you don't go there.
Okay.
You keep your flowers. After the 3, then you can come
and throw all at once. Those of you who are far away, so you keep those who are close, they can throw, right? Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Sri Tatmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Namine Idam Pusanjalimam Gurave Namaha. Yes. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Stadmani Shikaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Sritatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Itinamine Idam Pusajalimam Gurave Namaha Jai Gurudev Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Tinamani Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Stadmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Sri Tatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Iti Namine Pitani Pushpanjali Amgurave Namaha
Bhakti Tirtha Swami.
Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namane Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Stadmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Krishna.
Now, please don't go without getting some Mahaprasad. We're going to distribute some Mahaprasad. We would like to thank Navakishori Mataji, who was doing offerings. Paritoshani Mataji did the cake. Ekatma Mataji, she did some juice. She made some juice for us. And just informing you on the 27th, that will be Monday, we're going to have at 9 o'clock in front of Radha Madhava courtyard. We're gonna come doing Harinam with Gurudev's picture. We're gonna come here, get Gurudev's shoes. We're gonna go around TOVP one time and back to the MCS hall. MCS? Yeah. To the MCS hall, where we're gonna have the program at 10. Offerings and Guru Puja Puspanjali, because that's the Titi. Yeah. So thank you everyone for coming. Anything else?
Next part of the program. Next part of the program where we have offering by Maharaj and.
Okay. Sorry, we didn't finish. Maharaj will do his offering. I didn't know. Sorry. So Maharaj will do his offering.
So I think you need that. It's very good.
I can connect your ear. I can connect your ear
And for the disciples and those who want to offer some service for the Vyasa Puja, we're going to have a short meeting after this program here, just to finalize the services.
So we are witnessing a beautiful offering.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Shakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So Mataji, now His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami Maharaj would be presenting his offering. And after that, we have the Bhoga offering and we'll take you on the Samadhi's Parikrama once.
Jai,
So
thank you so much.
we're just doing the setup to for the offering. Can you put this on the tripod?
Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, I will take you on the Parikrama till we do the setup.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the darshan.
Sorry. Okay. So you can get the water also. Radha Madhav Prabhu. Hari Bol. So I think we are ready to start. Gurudeva, can you hear them?
Yes, I'm hearing. I'm hearing.
We can start the offering. Yeah, short talk. Yes.
Yes. I can start now.
Yes.
This is 5:20,
Yes.
15 minutes.
We have 15.
We have
15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yes, it's 5 o'clock. Is that right, Krishna Shakti Mataji? 15 minutes?
Yes.
How many minutes I have?
It looks like 15. But
Okay.
you can, Maharaj, you can take as long as you like.
No,
Okay.
Let's take as
don't
long
want
as you
to-
like.
As long as you like,
No,
yeah,
I-
definitely.
Not as long as I like. I would like to take all the time. I'm on Vishnu Pariya Krishna Pisai Bhutale Simati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Chinani. I will say Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Shitandri Shri Gaura Karuna Sati Bhakti Namo Vishnu Pariya Krishna Pisai Bhutale Simati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Chinani. I will say Saraswati Devi Gaura Rani Charini. Neri Visesa Sanya Bhakti. It's only me who's going to hear. All this around here and going to hear.
I'll ask them to join on YouTube.
Everybody. Yeah, if you don't, you will not be able to hear me. Because the speakers will not hear. My offering for this year will be the project and also the 𝐶𝐤𝐳 defense. I said defense because a few years ago, I had one of his brother for 2 years, consecutive years, he was saying something about the Gurudev, which I need to make it clear for devotees to understand that it was a misrepresentation. So I'm not going to speak about that today. But today I want to speak about the projects. We know His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he is a spiritual warrior. In the Shastra, when we see a warrior, a king, we always sing them on the chariot, what the horses, what the weapons, but it is also a misrepresentation. The Kshatriyas, they shouldn't practice violence. But violence is the last option. It's not the first thing, the first duty for Kshatriya. The first duty of Kshatriya is that he knows the scripture and he rules according to the scripture, being guided by the Brahmanas. So Gurudev, he described devotees as a spiritual warrior. So he is a spiritual warrior. And the duty of a warrior in the Krishna consciousness is different from the normal warriors which we have. That is about the fighting and fighting and fighting. So their duty, why are they fighting? Their duty is to protect us. They are fighting to protect the citizens. They are not just fighting only to win kingdoms. So His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he was fighting to protect devotees all over the world. He began his fighting externally by going to Lord Jagannath to pray for the whole his countryside. And after that, in West Africa, he was living his talk. was working his talk. By establishing farm community, cottage industries. So he did this throughout the whole of his life he spent in West Africa. And his struggle was not physically manifested. Of course, he did. He did so many things like establishing so many farm communities in Nigeria and also in Ghana. He also worked very hard to acquire land property. In Ghana, he purchased a land of 250 acres of land. In Nigeria, he purchased a land 110 acres of land. That is in Benin City. And in Lagos, he has also different places where he has the land for cultivating the things we need. Because a warrior or a spiritual warrior or a leader is a person who has a vision. Has a vision means that he see what is going to happen 100 years ago. This is what we see with all our chariots. And Gurudev has that vision. And he knows that in the future, which is already happening, the greatest need of humanity, of eternity, that we need food. And we cannot just depend on others. Or people should not see Hare Krishna movement as just a philosophical society with a practical offering to the community. So he established farm communities, established a lot of cottage industries, and we were very, very immature that we didn't maintain what he established. Most practical all his project was good. So as an offering to him, we are organizing as an offering to him a community that he wanted to establish. Just like here in Mayaku, the devotees, the disciples of Prabhupada are manifesting his desire by building a Vedic temple of Vedic Planetarium. It's an offering to Prabhupada because that is his desire. And that is how we know a bona fide disciple. They show how bona fide disciples they are when the fishermen are not physically present. Not only when he's present that we show that they're disciples. We show it more in a better way where we can show it in his absence. So in Nigeria and in Ghana, we're trying to offer something very, very, very fitting. Something befitting to the position of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami by offering a wonderful community. In a community where all his desires are fulfilled. Desire to have a place that can produce everything that we need. In a place where also we can show the whole world. Christian consciousness is not just a philosophical society, but we have something wonderful to give to people. We can give people skills which are not available in the material world. We can give people a community where we can practically live as brothers and sisters. We speak a philosophy, but in reality, we seem not to have that. But Gurudev wanted that place he can demonstrate to the world. ISKCON is a society that we can make by counter atmosphere present. So we experienced it here before going there. That community he wanted. By his potency, by his desire, I have heard that Prabhupada was speaking, that his spiritual master, the Bhakti Tirtha Swami, wanted a big center in Maya, big center. So he did something very wonderful here in Maya, and then Prabhupada also, the disciple did something bigger than what he did. All the empowerment is coming from the same person. The spiritual master, I want to see his disciple do something bigger. But the empowerment and the blessing and the sin, they're all coming from him. But they like to glorify Jesus. We have seen that. And Krishna, he came, much like what they promised to kill so many demons. So when he killed so many demons, and he left some demons for his own disciple, like Vyasa and Arjuna, to kill. So he empowered them to do that. We also saw in the life of Hanuman. Hanuman in the Ramayana, Hanuman is greater than everyone, including Ramachandra himself. What Hanuman did, Ramachandra himself didn't do that. But his strength came from the Lord. So pure devotees, they have this nature of empowering their disciples to do something for their glory. Non-eternal Prabhu said the same thing. If I don't do something to glorify my Krishna Master, how can I call myself a disciple? So His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj is empowering us and providing all the facilities so we can do something a community as an offering to Him, that He will bring the world together and provide our necessities for maintenance so that people can take to Krishna consciousness in many ways, not only by philosophy. Because His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he has a desire to present Krishna consciousness in a way that it is applicable to everyone. Majority of people will not come to Krishna consciousness through philosophy. Majority of people are going to come to Krishna consciousness through what they see is called dream. People identify with success. And especially in Kali Yuga, renunciation will not appeal to people. If you wear a torn cloth and a poor person is sitting on a tree, nobody will appreciate you. Even if you are Christian, nobody will appreciate you. But if you have a building, I've seen in Vrindavan, people come to the temple, they don't even see the deities. They only see the building, they see the marble, they see the fan blowing, especially during the summers. People come. They don't even see Prabhupada, they don't see deities. But they see the big building, they appreciate that. So Gurudev knows these things, and he wanted a situation that will help people to take the Krishna consciousness through facilities, providing people with health care. We are talking about devotee care. It's something that Gurudev started a long time back. And another time, nobody appreciated. I remember a few years ago, Counter Prabhu, he was doing his offering to Gurudev and he said, I don't like what the Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj did. Everybody was, what did he do? He was talking about what he care for children, care for women. We didn't understand him. Everybody would think, what is he doing? But now we came to understand the importance, the time that we needed him. He left. So I'm not happy with how he just disappeared, left us like this. This is the time we needed him most. Yes, it is always like that. It is always like that. It is said that the people who say, had I known, they are fools. Had I known, if I have known he's such a great devotee, I would have worshipped him. Yeah, yes, when the pure devotees are here, we don't see them as pure devotees. When they leave, they will see the importance, but that is foolishness. So Gurudev, he left his life as an example for everyone in many ways, and we want to take some aspect of that, his legacy, as an offering to him and present it. This will be our offering to Gurudev for 2018 and onwards. Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj.
Jai. His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami Ki Jai. Thank you all so much.
Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj Ki
Jai.
Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Gaura Bhaktarina Ki
Jai.
And Krishna Shakti Mataji, can we say a special thank you to Bhaktidev Damodar Maharaj, because it's his disciples that mainly organized all of this. A big thank you to him and his disciples. Thank you so much. And for him making himself available today, despite a busy schedule, as always. So thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj.
It's our pleasure. We will not accept the thank. It is you who should thank, because without your love for Gurudev, the love for all devotees, and the desire to help Gurudev, bringing us together, I wouldn't have the chance to do this. So you gave us the chance to do the same. So all glory goes to you.
Jai, no, thank you so much, Maharaj. This was beautiful, and literally setting up these communities is Gurudev's heart. So the fact that you are continuing the legacy and making sure that these communities are thriving and living under what he wants, Gurudev is very proud and very happy. So thank you so much for sharing your offering. And also thank you all very much for sharing Mayapur, the Pushpanjali, and allowing us to enter into Gurudev's moon from Mayapur. Thank you so much. Okay, so we just had a beautiful, beautiful offering.
There's so many devotees here. There's so many devotees here. They all left the Lavadi Parikrama to come and see and participate.
Jai.
Thank you.
Some different, yeah. Some different.
Oh, wow. Jai, thank you all so much. Thank you for that darshan of everyone. You're allowing us to actually be there with you all, so thank you.
Yes, that was the idea. So you are here. Yeah,
I know. We get the mercy. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the mercy. It feels like I'm right there with you all. Thank you. So, oh my goodness, that was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful offering. And thank you and your disciples and everyone that's present for doing this beautiful offering on behalf of Maharaj and just glorifying him on this auspicious day. Wow. All right. So thank you very much for your offering. And now we are going to go to the quiz portion. So up next, we have a beautiful quiz that we're going to have about Maharaj. And following that, we will have His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami do an offering as well. So let's see. All right, we're going to have 3 questions. And I'm going to read the questions first. And after reading the questions, you are going to see a poll box that will pop up and you will have 15 seconds to answer. So, and at the end of the day, someone will receive a prize. All right, so question number 1 is, all right, so His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami would stutter in his speech when he was young, but amazingly, he never stuttered when A, singing a song about nature, B, talking about God, C, talking about his favorite football player, D, talking to himself when he was alone. Now you have 15 seconds to answer the question. I will not sing the Jeopardy song. No. I guess I should make up a Hare Krishna version for that one. All right, I see the
It's coming, keep the purchase coming.
All right, seriously. All right. Okay, so, and the correct answer is B, talking about God. All right, it looks like 88% of the audience got that correct. Excellent, excellent. All right, next we have 2 videos. The first one is question number 2. All right, so Brother Paul remembers, it brought joy to my heart to see my brother play, make friends, and grow up. And he had an impediment. It caused him to stutter and blink at times while stamping his foot. This bothered me because he was made fun of sometimes. I told him to take his time, collect his thoughts, and then speak. I love him with the impediment, maybe even more because of it. Maharaj reminisces, but the most astounding thing was that even as an early 8 or 9-year-old, when I started speaking about God, I was a child evangelist at the time. I would not stutter. But most immediately after I stepped off the stage, the lectern or the pulpit, I would have difficulty with speaking. This has helped me to appreciate how much my speech defect is one of the greatest boons and blessings given to me in this lifetime. It helps to remind me that I am not the controller. It also helps to remind me how delicate each moment is. We're not in control, and the Supreme Lord, who is in fact controlling us all, can change things instantaneously at his will. All right, and this is coming from Black Lotus. Chapter 2, life-altering experiences from the spiritual journey of an urban mystic. All right, thank you very much. That was beautiful. Question number 2. Please identify this pastime of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami from the video. Please identify the pastime of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami from the video. A, Srila Prabhupada chastising him as he made a mistake. B, Srila Prabhupada asking Tamal Krishna Goswami to make Ganesham his personal servant. C, Srila Prabhupada embracing him as he agreed for sannyas. D, Srila Prabhupada giving him special mercy to Ganesham. Which one is it? I really wish I had some type of
this is tough.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, the video was taken from Kumachi Temple where I was a temple president, but I forgot in the past life. Okay, no problem.
All right, the poll has ended, and the correct answer is D, Srila Prabhupada giving special mercy to Ganesham. All right, so Prabhupada's personal entourage. No, okay, let me say, okay. All right, Prabhupada's personal entourage knew that on seeing Ganesham Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada would be very happy. And therefore, Tamal Krishna Goswami personally went down and brought Ganesham by the hand into Srila Prabhupada's quarters. Ganesham offered his respects to his guru, at which point Srila Prabhupada smiled and called him near. Prabhupada then embraced him with tears of love and gratitude. Rubbing Ganesham's head, Srila Prabhupada said, quote, "Your life is successful. Thank you very much," unquote. Now crying, Srila Prabhupada said, quote, "This is the Param system, or the system of disciplic succession, wherein a disciple follows the mood of his teacher. My Guru Maharaj pushed me, and now I am pushing you, and you are pushing others to spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu," unquote. Tamal Krishna Goswami was moved by Srila Prabhupada's pleasure, and in an attempt to please Srila Prabhupada even more, he came upon a brilliant idea. He told Ganesham, quote, "It will bring Prabhupada the greatest joy if you would please come and read the report of your work in Eastern Europe personally to Srila Prabhupada," unquote. This was a great honor and pleasure for Ganesham Prabhu. Bringing him in front of Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Goswami said, quote, "Today Ganesham will read a report to you of his preaching activities in Eastern Europe," unquote. As he began, Prabhupada looked totally disinterested. Ganesham saw this and became nervous, feeling that perhaps he was disturbing Srila Prabhupada. At that moment, Prabhupada stopped him with a grave stare. Ganesham felt paralyzed. With a deep voice, Srila Prabhupada chastised him, quote, "Krishna is the doer," unquote. Ganesham Prabhu stood motionless. Outside, he wept in gratitude. He knew he had received very special mercy. And this is from chapter 4 of Black Lotus, The Spiritual Journey of an Urban Mystic, chapter 4. Blessed by the best. Jai. All right, up next, question number 3, identify from the video whom did His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami meet?
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare. Okay, so the options are from the video, who did His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami meet? A, was it President Barack Obama? B, was it the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh? C, was it the head of state Ghana, Mr. Jerry John Rawlings? Or D, was it the king of Okharaj of Okpe? Probably just totally mispronounced that. All right, so you can choose now. And the correct answer is C, the head of state of Ghana, Mr. Jerry John Rawlings. By his powerful presentations of the philosophy and practice of Krishna consciousness on national television and radio, he reached many distinguished citizens, including the former head of state, Mr. J.J. Rawlings, who viewed one of His Holiness's TV programs and demanded a video of the program to keep at home. He also gave His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj an unprecedented private audience, spending several hours listening to Maharaj discuss the intricacies of Krishna consciousness. Royals of great cultural heritage, the Ashanti Hene of the Ashanti Kingdom, eagerly received him, anxious to hear his enlightening words. Many kings and chiefs have become disciples of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. National directors of sensitive state organizations sought his association in order to nourish their souls. Pressmen and women who by some good fortune managed to interview His Holiness were always so impressed that they wanted to have him again appear on their programs. His message of love, peace, and unity in the midst of diversity appeals to everyone, irrespective of religious differences. And this is from chapter 6 of Black Lotus, The Spiritual Journey of an Urban Mystic, Starting to Snowball. All right, so these are the quiz results. The quiz results, at the end of the day, we will announce the prize later on. Okay, so next we have His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami, who I will introduce right now. His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami is a disciple of His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Swami. He has spent over 35 years as a monk in full-time service of propagating the message of Krishna consciousness. His Bhakti Vasudev Swami joined ISKCON in Lagos, Nigeria in 1984 and was initiated in 1986. He steered many projects in his early years of the movement in West Africa under the order of his guru. Namely, in only a few months after his initiation, he became a member of the management committee and later the president of Lagos State chapter in ISKCON, where he oversaw temple construction of ISKCON Lagos. In 1990, Bhakti Vasudev Swami served as regional secretary for Nigeria and the West African sub-region. In February 2009, he received sannyas initiation from His Holiness 𝐤𝐢𝐳𝐝𝐴 Swami in Mayapur. And since then, he has been traveling all over the globe, preaching sublime message of love and devotion. And recently he has been given permission to initiate disciples. So we are looking forward to hearing from His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Swami Maharaj. Welcome.
Thank you. Let me quickly post this PowerPoint on the screen. Hope it works.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, just before you begin, Dandat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances and kindly accept this Maha Garland from Shri Radha Banki Bihari Temple in ISKCON, Nairobi in Kenya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So when I was serving my early days in Africa, before I migrated to the United States on the invitation of a social scientist, I had a standing order by Guru Maharaj. Normally in those days, we used to send him reports every month, report about your project, what you have done. And that was the mood. So I sent some report to him after he had requested that I should manage, go to one of the temple at Ibadan to manage the temple and see, because that temple is very adjacent to Nigeria's premier university. So when I went there, I was doing the old things I was doing in Lagos, going out with devotees for Food for Life, going out with devotees for book distribution, and the regular things that we were doing. So I sent a report to him, but in his response, he mentioned that, Vasudev, your report is very good, but all the things he mentioned in this report, any devotee in ISKCON can do it. He said, go to the professors and preach to the professors in the universities. So that was about 1991 or something like that. So since then, I've been involved in academic preaching programs. And that is how, based on what Dr. Krishna Shakti has mentioned, I have over 35 publications. It is not really my making. I was just being used as an instrument to fulfill that objective. He asked me, he gave me an order to do that. And so I simply executed that order. And today, I'm just going to give you a quick preview of what I've done in India in the last 6 months. In academia and corporate preaching programs. So in February, this February, I had 3 major presentations in the corporate industry and academia. I had a presentation at 𝐾𝐡𝐚𝐤𝐿 University at Moradabad, right here in India, on February 13. Title of that presentation was Leading Change for Higher Performance in Academia and Research. So one may wonder, what is the connection of that with Krishna consciousness? Yeah, this is the amazing story behind the academic preaching. So performance, what does performance mean to us? Performance, it means when you set a goal. I will chant 32 rounds, or I will chant 108 rounds, or I will chant 16 rounds, or 4 rounds. That's not performance. Performance means what you have done. The number of rounds, in this case, that you have chanted, that is your performance. So academic performance implies what the professor or the researcher or the student was able to achieve within a cognitive time frame. And a presentation was very much embraced by, this was mainly, the audience was mainly faculty members. There were about 80 faculty members and some few PhD research students. And just after the presentation, by the way, in the presentation, we were able to present the idea scientifically that the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra does enhance performance, because if someone is depleted in performance, you could link that depletion to several things, and one of those things is mental health. Whereas the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra has been proven scientifically to boost or to reduce mental health challenges, that implies that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra does improve performance, because if someone is depressed, is about to commit suicide, they will not be at optimum in their performance. So the next program we had was at the Indian Institute of Science. And the presentation that we made there was on financial fraud prevention. So again, one may wonder, what is the connection of financial fraud with the Hare Krishna teachings, the teachings of the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition? Yeah. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, STI, or what I call sonic therapeutic intervention, has been proven scientifically at the World Academy of Science, Engineering and Technology in London in 2021 in June 28th. I made a scientific presentation at the World Academy of Science, which proves the fact that chanting of the Hare Krishna helps to prevent financial fraud. And that is the World Academy of Science, so you can't go and talk blabber. So the next presentation, the professors at the Indian Institute of Science, they wanted me to share with them that presentation. So that was exactly what I did. And they were very enlivened about it, because they were preachers preaching to members of the academia, and they needed some scientific information, scientific data to prove their case. Now, the next program that I had in February was on February 3rd at the Indian Institute of Technology. These are Institute of Technology. These are the main high-profile institutions in India. So we made a presentation based on mind management for sustainable success. You know, Krishna talked so much about the challenges that the mind poses on the conditioned soul, wherein he mentioned if we are able to control our mind, then everything is done. But to control the mind is not a cakewalk. And so we presented basically the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita regarding how to tame the mind through Krishna consciousness. The next slide. September and October 2022. On September 15, 2022, we had a chance to be invited by the head of department for mathematics at the Indian Institute of Technology in Durgapur. We made a presentation on sonic therapeutic intervention for global peace. Remember that Prabhupada had mentioned a number of times that if the whole world could actually come under one umbrella to chant Hare Krishna, there will be peace will be profound in the global society. And we just presented that in a scientific tone, and it was highly embraced by the professors and the graduate students. Next was a presentation on October 28th at Indian Institute of Technology at Kharagpur on self-leadership for high academic performance. And so again, this presentation was based on the instruction to Rupa Goswami, Vachu Vegam, Manasa Kroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Pasta Vegam, Etam Vegam, Yo Visa Hita, Dhiram, Sarum, Apimam, Prichivim, Sasisha. So we have the stuffs in our literatures, but how to translate those seemingly religious instructions into scientific values, I think that is what a number of us lack. And so I made this presentation very succinctly, and a number of the students who participated in that program, they are still in touch with me. In fact, one of the students, he's finishing his PhD in finance in September this year. He made a big deal out of this presentation on LinkedIn. I have a professional page on LinkedIn too, because as a professional and as an academic, we connect people through that. So this guy, he made a big pronouncement on LinkedIn. He said, Dr. Vasudev, what he presented is still, I'm still feeling it. It's like I was a spear that pierced my heart. So I connected with him and we discussed. He told me he wants to give his life to Krishna. I said, okay, no problem, but finish your PhD in September 1st. So this is not something amazing, because the first time I visited India in 2008, I made 5 presentations in 2 months. These presentations were in 6 months. But the very first time I visited India, I made professional presentation. I came as a resource person. I was invited by social scientists to make presentations at India, different universities and institutions. So what I had within the past 6 months, perhaps is very minor. So I don't want to take your time. That is my presentation. It's supposed to be just a private, what would I say? A private offering to Guru Maharaj, but I wanted also the members of the God family, because in most cases, I'm not available. And because of the pressure on my type of service, I don't have someone that I have to delegate. Professors don't delegate someone to think for them. Professors don't delegate someone to write for them. Professors don't delegate someone to research for them. So I got to do the things that my Guru Maharaj wanted me to do. And so I think that he's seen what I've been doing over the years. And here is what I just have to share with all of you about my Indian sojourn, the activities, my preaching activities, that we are specifically instructions from Guru Maharaj in India within these past 6 months. Thank you very much for your wonderful activities, wonderful preaching programs. And I'd like to thank especially Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Swami, who has been pioneering affairs, especially in West Africa. And with the other person, the GBC, we have the GBC, the West Africa is also governed by one of our godbrothers, the GBC for West Africa, that is Srivas Prabhu, Srivas Vanachari. So they are helping a lot in that region that a number of people will not even venture to go. So thank you again for making this occasion a success, and especially those who organize this program. Organizing the program is just so challenging as anything else. So thank you very much for setting up this program for everyone to come to or participate. Hare Krishna. See, I'm not going to be around. I am actually coming from, I'm right now in Bhubaneswar. I'm coming from Puri, and I'm flying out to Calcutta in 5 minutes time.
Oh,
So I'm going to the airport right now.
so Maharaj, when are you coming to Eastern Europe?
Eastern Europe, if you invite me, I will go. But you have to create my prasadam. My prasadam is corporate preaching and academia.
I know very well.
All right, thank you very much, Prabhus and Maharajas.
Maharaj, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. We did tell you about this program last minute, and you shifted so many things around to be with us today. You're just such a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Definitely appreciate that. We're going to have to get you over to Kentucky. And I think we're going to have to do some collaborations. Definitely. Very inspiring to see academics and doing the work that you're doing and just basically spreading it within that field, because that's exactly what Gurudev wanted. So it's beautiful to see how you're doing it. And thank you for sharing your private your private sentiments that would be shared just with Gurudev with us. So I highly appreciate that. And I look forward to future collaborations, and please continue to share everything that you're publishing, because it's very inspiring. And it's
thank you.
Yeah.
And you can check my website, Vasudev. My website is there. So feel free to check my website. You'll be able to see about the developments, programs, presentations, and publications. Thank you very much. Continue with a good job.
And Mark, make it a point to come to London, please. We miss you in London.
Yeah, when I'm coming, well, basically, London is a stopover. Don't have to be worried, but it cannot be, expedited.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Safe travels. All right, I want to thank Bhumik Prabhu for offering the garland to Maharaj. Thank you very much, and that was beautiful. Excellent. So we are getting the nectar today and getting it from all around the world. Up next, we have a beautiful, I would like to thank again Maharaj for his wonderful words. Up next, we have a video offering and a poem offered by kids from Nairobi, Kenya, Yatra. So we will allow that next.
Your smile, so beautiful, captures our hearts. Your appearance, so welcoming, melts our hearts. Your words, so powerful, pierce our hearts. Your love, so intense, touches deep in our hearts. Your preaching, so bold, fills our hearts. Your kirtan, so ecstatic, makes them dance our hearts. Your humor, so sweet, soothes our heart. Your heart, so big, accommodates all our hearts. Your service, so perfect. 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 Always in Srila Prabhupada's heart.
Absolutely adorable. Would like to give thanks to Geet, Radhasaki, Anashika, Vrinda, Kishori, Bhakti, Hatvi, Janki, Tulsi, Chandi, Haripriya, Sevya Bhakta, Joseph, Njugi, His Grace Bankabi Haridas, and Her Grace Hari Prana Priya Devi Dasi for writing and coordinating. And this is from Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you very much. So beautiful. And now we have Her Grace, Mother Shri Upanishad, who will be introducing Mukunda Das. Mother Shri Upanishad has been a wonderful devotee and actually knew Gurudev in high school. And she has been serving for so many years, and she's engaged in multiple services in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And she is full of Shakti, Bhakti, and enthusiasm. And welcome.
Haribo, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranams, all you wonderful, wonderful Vaishnavis and Vaishnavas. Haribo, I am so excited. You know I want to dance, right? Okay, we're just really very grateful. And let me offer my obeisances. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Nitanamane. Namaste Krishna Pad Prabhupada Atmane. Shri Guru Karun Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Nitanamane. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gora Vani Bacharane. Never say Sanyavadi because of Dasitarane. Hari Grace, Hari Bo. Okay. We're having a wonderful personality that's gracing us today. His name is Mukunda. Mukunda Das was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and moved to New York at an early age. Growing up under the influence of his uncle, he learned yoga and meditation in his formative years, and in 1972 began attending the ISKCON Temple in Brooklyn, New York. After high school, and a stint in the military, Mukunda returned to college in New York and had a successful music career. In 1979, he met His Holiness, Bhakti Tirtha Swami, and joined him in spreading Krishna consciousness, which led him to be sent as one of the pioneers of preaching in West Africa, Central Africa. Returning 8 years later, he helped establish the iFast project in Washington, D.C. He also embarked on a career in law enforcement and renewed career in music. After meeting his Guru Dev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan, he read in 1986, and again in the early 90s, he took the vow Vanaprastha, and along with his dedicated wife, moved, and after retirement from both careers, to Alachua, Florida, where he has dedicated his time to deep spiritual study and practice by the order of his Guru Dev. He and his wife continue to travel and share bhakti, and has now, under inspiration from seniors, began to accept disciples to share the deep teachings of bhakti. Hari Hari Bo, welcome Mukunda. Krishna.
Haribo, Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Before we begin, we're going to have a garland offering from Dayarupa. And then also, for Prabhu, and also for Mataji as well, from, Kamita Prabhu for Prabhu Mukunda, and then also for Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please accept my respectful obeisance. All glories to you, all glories to you, because my Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj. May you please accept this garland from us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Kamita from Nairobi. Please accept this garland from the Lordship Sri Sri Radha Bhakti Bihari in Nairobi. Hari Hari Bo.
Jai.
Dandavat Pranam. Guruve Gauri Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale. Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
My Dandavat Pranams to all devotees, Vaishnava, Vaishnavis, all Tri Dandi Sannyasigan, and all guests. So I'm very privileged. Of course, my association with His Holiness Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj spans maybe almost 20 years. So it's very much delightful for me by the inspiration, of course, of many of his disciples, and also, of course, Shri Ishopanishad Devi, that they would invite me to offer some small glorification. It is very difficult to glorify somebody who is glorious. We can try to bring our words, but you don't increase their glory by your speaking. You only pray that what you will say will invoke their compassion, and that maybe their mercy will come to touch you somewhat. So one thing we can understand is that the dealings between devotees is never accidental. It's also not a product of material karma. So anytime devotees meet and they have association, it is the arrangement of Bhagavan. Didi told that I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and of course, Maharaj was also born in Cleveland, Ohio. So who would know that so many years into our adult lives, our paths would cross? My actual first meeting of Maharaj actually was in 1975. 79 was official. But in 1975, when I was staying in the temple in California, in New Dwarka, I once was working in the BBT there, and I heard a great murmur that, oh, Ganesham Prabhu is here, Ganesham Prabhu is here. So of course, I did not know Maharaj at that time, and that was his brahmachari name. But while I was putting books in places and so forth, I stopped everything to see who was this person that everyone became so enthused about, so illuminated about. And then I saw Maharaj come through the door, and many things hit me all at once. But one thing hit me was that, of course, throughout the entire expanse of the ISKCON society and the years of ISKCON, we've had many stalwart devotees recognized. But those devotees who were born either in Africa directly or in the African diaspora, that was a rare thing. So to see Maharaj, at that time brahmachari, of course, come through the doors of the BBT there in California, and all devotees, any race, creed, color, status, all part ways to offer him so much respect and regard, that was a very inspiring thing in my heart. So I did not get a chance to talk at that time to Maharaj. He was very busy. He was working at that time in the International Library Party. But I remember seeing him again in the Kirtan in New Dwarka. And of course, as Didi mentioned, in 1979, while I was working doing music, I used to frequent the temple on 55th Street. I'd been obviously practicing bhakti for some years at that time. But while taking dinner, one devotee approached me and asked, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj would like to see you, and Brahmananda Swami. So I thought, well, I think I remember Bhakti Tirtha Swami, but I don't know. But anyway, so I said, I will go and see. So I went upstairs, and that Bhakti Tirtha Swami, of course, was Ganesham Prabhu, who had taken sannyas in that year. So I was so happy, I immediately paid my Dandavat Pranam to both himself and to Brahmananda Swami, and they both had this huge smile. So at the same time that I paid my obeisances, I also thought, well, what's afoot here? Because I'm a pretty insignificant person, yet they're smiling very broadly. So I think Maharaj knew at that time that really all he needed to capture me was to make that smile. And anybody who's had association with Maharaj significantly knows that if Maharaj will smile at you and turn his head a little bit, that's one of the first things he uses to kind of catch your heart, right? So after paying my Dandavat, I asked Maharaj, Maharaj, how can I serve you? What would you like? So he mentioned that he had taken sannyas and that he had started some preaching missions and wanted to know, one, if I could give a donation to help for the projects called Books for Africa, which was a project that had been developed all around ISKCON society, and if I could arrange some preaching programs within the community there in New York for him now that he'd taken sannyas. So I said, oh, certainly, Maharaj, this is not a problem. So I gave a donation, And then I arranged some programs at a few places. And I remember in Harlem, the National Black Theater and there was a place called the Tree of Life Bookstore, which were very prominent centers of kind of African-American study and so forth. So Maharaj came and of course gave wonderful programs there. Then I remember thinking that my career had become some successful, and I missed ashram life because I actually lived in the temple in New York in 1975. And I had an inspiration. I just wanted to, again, take up ashram life and dedicate myself like that. And I remember going all the way back to California because I didn't want the disturbance of the musical career in New York to interfere. But when I got to Los Angeles, I had darshan of Srila Prabhupada in 1972 and 73. And so things were different. But I remember that Maharaj had given me some contact for him. So when I was in Los Angeles, I reached out to Maharaj and told Maharaj, I'm not feeling as inspired being back in California at this time. He says, oh, well, don't make any disturbance, but catch the first thing smoking and come to DC and be with me. So at that time, myself and my partner, we got on a bus literally and went across country again and came to the Association of Maharaj, who had a very small restaurant in Washington, DC. And that was in 1979. So near the end of that year, Maharaj came down to give Srimad Bhagavatam classes. We gathered every morning in the restaurant before it would open. And he began to start the class as we normally do. Jaya Radha. And he did not finish his full bhajan. And he said, oh, by the way, my name at that time was Akindra, but he said, oh, Akindra and Papa Staya, I'm going to send you to the Mayapur festival. And then from there, you'll go to West Africa to join Brahmananda to help open the temples there. Okay, Jaya Radha, right? So there was no discussion. There was no like, well, what, what, how, when. So then long story short, a couple of weeks later, it turns out Papa Staya could not travel. So Maharaj said, well, you should still go, but maybe we'll wait on the festival in India and you go straight to Nigeria, so because there's some urgency there. He told me that he had had a dream of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada had told him that there were many devotees waiting there in West Africa and that Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj should open the door for them. So he emphasized this point that dream he took as literal, that Prabhupada wanted this to happen right now. So he gave me $10 US and a one-way ticket to Lagos, Nigeria. So anyways, of course, those times were very much times of full surrender. Anything that is asked of you, you do without question. So at any rate, I took that $10 US and my only worry at that time was whether I'd be able to get into Nigeria because I only had a one-way ticket. And I did have a letter from Brahmananda who was already there. And of course, arriving in the airport by grace of Guru Krishna and Maharaj, I was able to get in. My $10, of course, was used up in a taxi ride from the airport to, at that time, one very small flat that we had in Surulere. So, of course, I argued with the cab driver because I thought, listen, I'm giving you $10 US, I should have change. At that time, not realizing that the oil boom in Nigeria was so great, it took $2 to make 1 naira that time, right? Because the money was so high. So anyways, I waited for some time for His Holiness Brahmananda Swami to come. And Brahmananda Swami had gone down for book distribution. He came back in the early evening and there was one devotee with him. He was a Bhakta Martin. That Bhakta Martin later became, of course, Mahamantra Das. And today his name is His Holiness B.V. Shanta Maharaj. So from that time, Maharaj is, grown also exponentially in his bhakti and everything. So that time we started in a small flat in Surulere, no running water, no anything, but the preaching was incredible. Under Maharaj's inspiration, we would take cases of books out every day in a little Daihatsu van. And I did not know how to drive stick shift at that time, so I would drive all the way down to the center of Lagos in one gear. So anyway, so we would go downtown and we would take out our boxes of books. We would do Harinam and I would speak a little bit and I take a few questions. Then I would say, all of your questions can be answered in these books. So Dr. Martin, who had been going downtown frequently, told me, all right, we should split into two parties and we will distribute the books. So we're selling books. The books are going very fast. So we got down to maybe 4 or 5 books left. And Dr. Martin told me, okay, just leave the box there, let's go. So I said, no, you know, what are you saying? We can't just leave the books here on the ground. We have to give to people. He said, no, just leave them there, Prabhu, I'm telling. So then I said, no, I can't do that, you know, Prabhu. So I kept the books and I said, we only have a few left. And as I held up the books, a huge crowd just rushed us and everybody was fighting to get these last 4 or 5 books. And so I took a few bruises here and there. And then Dr. Martin told me on the way back, that's why I told you, just put the box down and leave the books and people will work it out, right? So I then realized something very important. This part is very serious. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu was told, that the holy name would go to every town and village. Our Srila Prabhupada became the personified fulfillment of that prophecy. And all of those dear sevaks of our Srila Prabhupada, my Gurudev as well, they became the extension of that prophecy. We should not think that Mahaprabhu's Leela was only 500 years ago. If anyone is very fortunate, they can see Mahaprabhu's Leela is going on even to this day. So what is happening all over the world that I saw was that that prophecy of Mahaprabhu was actually becoming fulfilled. And anyone who was so fortunate, even today, who can be so fortunate to take any part in the fulfillment of that prophecy and that Leela, their blessing is guaranteed. So I began to reflect how merciful it was that Maharaj, even though I had some doubt, apprehension, $10, one-way ticket to any country I've never been. An amazing thing is my whole upbringing in college and everything involved being so Afrocentric. I had studied all about Yoruba culture because I was a drummer. I wanted to learn bata drum, all kinds of things. Here I am now in a situation where under the influence of Mahaprabhu and our Guru Parampara, I'm here to do any significant service for them. So long story short, from that small flat in Surulere, we ended up with the first temple in Ilupeju. And from that first temple in Ilupeju, we began to distribute books. The temple began to grow. Devotees like Omkara Prabhu, Ishwara Prabhu, Shruti Prabhu, who became, Shruti Prabhu, Omkara, of course, is Ajay Krishna Prabhu. So many devotees, they began to come at that time. Some devotees also came from the West, Brajalila Devi, Bhutta Bhavan Prabhu, Srinath, Parameshwari Didi. So now we had our first full flourishing temple and Sunday program. So then after 1 or 2 years, Maharaj calls on the phone to Brahmananda Swami, and Brahmananda Swami calls me in the room and puts Maharaj on the phone. So I'm very happy because now I'll talk to Maharaj. Yes, things have become very successful here. We're happy, everything is growing. Yes, that's very wonderful, Kendra. I have another proposal for you. So I'm like, yes, Maharaj, yes, what is it? Why not strike while the iron is hot? Maharaj is very expert, I'm telling you, very expert. Because my plan was, I must go to India, right? I'm pining to go to India at least first time now. So Maharaj says, you know, Vrindavan is eternal. So Vrindavan will always be there. But you should strike while the iron is hot, and you should go to Ghana and open another temple. So I said, okay, Maharaj. We had actually collected money to go to India. We traveled from Lagos all the way to Kaduna, right? Distributing books, sleeping in the van, right? I remember one night we slept in an abandoned school, right? All of these things we're collecting and doing everything. We're going to go to India. But anyways, we ended up going to Ghana. Myself, at that time was Mahamantra Prabhu, Brajalila Devi, and one devotee, Lakshmi Pati Prabhu, who's passed away, of course, by now. And in Ghana, we started all over again. We got a small house in Alajo, to start the first temple. Later, we moved to one beautiful place in Odoko. And in that temple in Odoko, we had so many devotees join, including His Grace Srivas Prabhu, Bhakti Tirtha Damodara Maharaj. So many devotees joined during that time. So very wonderful now to see how Africa has flourished. And I think I'm praying that though I'm so insignificant, that Mahaprabhu and our Guru Parampara will give me some blessing that I may achieve my perfection in bhakti for having tried to participate in the wonderful Leela of Mahaprabhu's fulfillment of this prophecy. Later, after Ghana began to flourish, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj allowed that you can go now to Zambia and Zimbabwe. So in this way, they just continued like that. So many Leelas took place in all these places. Finally, from Zimbabwe, I made my first trip in 1984 to Sri Vrindavan Dham. And then I would go every year. Every year after that, I would go to Vrindavan Dham and try to deeply immerse myself in bhajan life. And then, of course, after preaching there and going to Kenya and Mombasa to help develop the temple, and Mombasa was already there, but we tried to do preaching there to help. And of course, in Zambia and Zimbabwe, we were able to start temples, everything. And then we finally came back to America, and Maharaj sent us to South America. So, but anyways, but then when we came back, Maharaj said, listen, we've been making temples all over the world here, different places. Now we should do something in the African-American community here in America. So at that time, we began preaching in America in Washington, D.C. And of course, in a taxi ride, we used to go to Howard University and do programs. And in a taxi ride home, I mentioned to Maharaj that we should have like a place of study where the students could come and we could do regular programs and so forth. And I said, we could call it an institute. I said, yeah, that sounds good. So then I said, what about the Institute of Applied Spiritual Technology? That sounds good. Just made up something in our mind. And I thought Maharaj was going to say, listen, don't worry about it. We're the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, but he liked it. And he said, yes, that's a good idea. And from that time, then the Institute for Applied Spiritual Technology began to grow under the wonderful service of so many devotees, Brajalila, Ekavir Prabhu, Chintamani Jagannath, so many wonderful devotees came. I cannot remember all, but so many wonderful devotees. Baba and Mother Indrani, of course, she's passed away now, but so many devotees came in the early grouping there to help that place also develop. I remember later on, Krishna Shakti, your mom and dad also coming. And so many wonderful devotees then, of course, and then in Cleveland, which was like a sister to us, Ishopanashad Devi, Parvati Devi, so many came, and in this way, the Institute began to grow. After some time, in wanting to render more close service to my Guru Parapadma, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, I was asked to Maharaj if I could take more full shelter there and to develop my bhajan life, because my age is getting old, now pushing 70. So that time Maharaj gave his blessings. And now I've been involved only in doing deep bhajan life and trying to travel and to do my save of doing Hari Katha. This is my life at this point. But praying at the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and all the devotees, that you'll be kind to me and bestow your causeless mercy on me, that I'll be able to continue in this seva for as long as Shri Guru and Gauranga decide I should stay in this body. Jai Hari Bol, all glories to Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, all glories to devotees. Jai Radhe Radhe.
Hey, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. You just make me want to jump on a plane and, and go travel the world to spread the holy name and all of these wonderful services. Mukunda Prabhu, you mentioned the restaurant in DC, right?
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit more about that restaurant? Because a lot of devotees, I'm sure they're not aware that there was a restaurant that you guys were involved.
That was sort of the base of the first sort of congealing of servants of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. Even his uncle had came to live there. What was his name?
Nanda. Norman.
Norman,
Yes,
but Nanda, he became Nanda, right? So that restaurant was the basis where we stayed. We had a Govinda's restaurant on the first floor and the ashrams on the second floor. And that was the first sort of major preaching because it was on Capitol Hill. So many politicians and other high-class persons used to come to take meals there. And we had great cooks. So it was very attractive. And we would do Harinam and every other normal service of temples from that small place. That place also financed a lot of the preaching in Africa because His Grace Sanatana Goswami was like sort of the financier. He was doing the businesses that helped to finance both the restaurant and Africa. So my ticket to Africa, everything else was really coming from the service of two devotees, Sanatana Goswami and Madan Gopal Prabhu. So that restaurant was the nucleus of where everything kind of began in terms of the coalition of Srila Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj's preaching. He had taken sannyas in 1979. And of course, later on in the 80s, I was preaching in Zambia at that time, maybe 83, 84. He decided to start accepting disciples at that time. And I remember I had been studying Sanskrit. I was trying to learn Sanskrit and Hindi at that time. And I remember while I was studying Sanskrit, I remember, Maharaj sent us a message that he's going to be taking sannyas. That he's going to be accepting disciples. And he was in Tirupati at that time. So I remember being very excited to write a pranam mantra for him. So I wrote a pranam mantra, but Gaurakesh Prabhu would beat me to the punch. So Gaurakesh Prabhu wrote the pranam mantra while he was in Tirupati. Actually, it was Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. They were all in Tirupati at that time. So then when he came to, they were in Tirupati when he made that announcement. And Gaurakesh, who was with him, who was one of the devotees in this county, used to do all the yagyas and everything and taught many devotees. He wrote Maharaj's pranam mantra that you're all saying today. And then when Maharaj came to Zambia, it was the first time we saw him after he had started accepting disciples and so forth. So it was very, very wonderful time and so forth. And everything. And of course,
I just wanted to say, the audience, Hare Krishna, are you there? This is a wonderful opportunity to ask questions about some of the travels of Guru's early days. Is there anyone that wanted Krishna Shakti? Where are you?
Oh, right here. Yes, I'm here.
Is there any questions or things like that in the chat that maybe some of the devotees can,
see and open it up?
Inspire?
No, but I want to hear some more highlights. These are some different stories that I think I have not heard before. This is very,
I was thinking that I've heard all these things before.
No, Mukunda Prabhu, were you there when Maharaj met I'm going to say God? Yes, and yes, and what's his name? This was back in the States, though. You were around with Muhammad Ali and all these people, right?
Yes. At that time, Maharaj, he would travel. Well, first in Africa, we would always arrange different meetings with different heads of state. So in Ghana, we arranged for him to meet with both Rawlings and with Liman before that. In fact, we were, just as a story, we had arranged for Maharaj to meet with the president just before Rawlings. So we were in the State House there, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden we hear like gunshots, like pow, 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 pow. So I told my mantra, hey, you should just ask somebody what's going on. Because we thought maybe it's army is there, so maybe they're doing drills or something. So he went and asked one person, the person said, shh, sit down, sit down. So he came back and told me the same thing, shh, sit down, sit down. So I said, what do you mean sit down? We gotta find out what's happening, because so anyways, long short, this was the coup that was going on right at that time. So of course we didn't know that till we got back in the van. And what happens when there's a coup, sometimes they'll take over the radio station and they'll just play military music. So then we knew it was a coup, right? And we went back to the house and everything. Of course, devotees were so loved in Ghana. For me, one of the most ecstatic preachings for me was in Ghana, actually, for so many reasons. But anyway, we went back and we stayed and so forth. But we were there arranging a head of state visit with Maharaj. Of course, Maharaj later on met both of those presidents, including Rawlings. And Rawlings and Maharaj had a very deep kind of relationship because Maharaj had the ability on the platform of his leadership preaching to inspire people, even in something they were not directly familiar with. So he was able to inspire many persons, not only heads of state, but people who worked in the cabinet and so forth and so on. Sometimes that was a little challenging. When we met the president of Zambia, President Kaunda, President Kaunda had become so attracted to Maharaj that the cabinet ministry, I don't think they were as happy about it. We went to a state dinner there, and at the state dinner, it's usually a very formal thing, and it lasts for 35, 40 minutes, and everybody does their greetings, and that's it. But anyways, the conversation was so thick that actually Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said, "We don't want to use so much of your time, Your Excellency. So thank you so much for this visit." And then the president would start up another conversation. So we all sat back down. And then Maharaj would say again, yes, so thank you so much for the visit. And then he'd start another conversation. Then he wanted to show Maharaj the gardens. Then he wanted this. So in this way, he was just trying to keep the association of Maharaj. And you could tell the ministers, they were like not really happy because I guess they thought Maharaj was having such an influence that they'd never seen him act like that before. I actually have a picture that I've kept for years and years of us standing in that garden. And Maharaj was very expert. So he leaned over to me and was pointing to something, but he was actually whispering, "I think we got him." He leaned over, and in the picture, he's pointing, showing me something, but he whispered in my ear, "I think we got him." You understand? And I remember that night, we went back and we were staying with one judge. And so there was only one room. So actually, Braja Leela was sleeping in one bed with a curtain in between us. And me and Maharaj had to share the same bed because that's all. So Maharaj kept asking me, "Kimdra, are you up?" I said, "Yes, Maharaj." He said, "That was so ecstatic," so forth, so on. I said, yes. And we would talk. And then I would start thinking about it. I said, "Maharaj, are you up?" Yeah. And we'd start talking again. So now at this time, it's like getting close to like 3:30 in the morning or something. We have to drive back to Kitwe, where our temple was. So, Maharaj always was up for Mangal Arati, right? So now it's so late. And Maharaj says, it's very late and you're going to have to drive tomorrow. So we should just rest in. We can do Mangal Arati a little bit late. So I thought Maharaj meant we would rest till like 8 or 9, then do like a quick Mangal and leave. He said, yeah, so instead of getting up at the 4:30, we should get up like 5:30. So I was like, maybe we shouldn't just go to sleep. It's already 4 o'clock in the morning, right after we got through going back and forth. So that's how Maharaj was. So there's so many Leelas, unbelievable Leelas. We once were in Zambia, and it's when Maharaj first came, and we had a huge kirtan. He came, all the people in the Indian community also had come to a very small temple we had, and we were there and we were dancing very ecstatically. And Maharaj, everybody knows Maharaj is dancing. I don't have to explain. So we were dancing very ecstatically, and myself and Maharaj had linked arms, and we were just going in circles. And a mouse, I don't think it was a mouse, it was a little bigger than a mouse. But anyway, we had the door open. So the mouse ran into the temple room. And Maharaj and myself, we really didn't deal with rodents well. This is all the way back from Nigeria. So we were dancing and we both jumped up on a chair. And we were holding each other's arms and we were on the chair. And the devotees thought that was all part of the dance. So the devotees started clapping and going, "Hey, Haribol, Haribol." So there's like so many wonderful, sweet, and humorous pastimes as well. And then also many serious pastimes. Maharaj sent me to Liberia to try to prospect opening a temple there. And Liberia was extremely dangerous. And of course, later on, Mother Ladini went there, and Maharaj actually had me get on the phone to convince her to leave because he did not trust Liberia. And of course, later, some pretty tragic things happened. So many wonderful pastimes and of all different varieties with Maharaj over many, many years.
Prabhu, that's so wonderful. I remember Maharaj bringing to my attention one day. I had the mercy of associating with him sometime, personally, and he always said that you were such a tool in spreading this mercy of God consciousness to so many people in the world, especially in the African American community. And he was always forever grateful for that energy. He said you were a powerful, powerful preacher. And that's very amazing. And
That's
it's true.
Maharaj is being kind. He's being kind, that he's being kind to me only.
Jai
That's all.
Hare Krishna. I know that's very touching. Anyone else has anything else? Krishna Shakti, does anyone put anything in the chat?
Yes,
There's
we do
one
have
question.
one question in the chat. And the question is coming from Mahesh. And he said, can you share some of the hard time you overcame in Africa? And he also says, what about pranams to you and Gurudev?
There were some hard times. I'm telling one other pastime. I remember we were in Ghana once and there was a gasoline shortage. And because of the gasoline shortage, the trucks could not get from the farms to the town. So we used to, in Ghana especially, you could get anything. I mean, we had access to all kinds of wonderful prasad. So of course I became very attracted to food there, kuntumbre, and so many different dishes, Kelly Willie, so many different things there. But this time there was a food shortage. And Maharaj called me, he was in Nigeria, and he called to say he was coming to Ghana. And we told Maharaj, maybe it's not a good time to come because there's a food shortage and, it's very severe times here. We were all eating every day peanuts, ground nuts, they call them, oranges and bananas. That was pretty much almost breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And all the devotees were still doing all the services, but that's kind of all we had at that time. So Maharaj said, okay, all right, you're thinking I should not come at this time. So, okay, I'll wait some time, but I have to go back to America at some point. So let me know. So I called Maharaj maybe a week later, said the situation has not changed, Maharaj, so I don't see a prospect for coming to Ghana during this time. So we still continued to do Harinam, and Harinam in Ghana, and when we were in the Doko, we would come out in the evening, and as when we started the Harinam, all the markets around the temple would shut down and join us for Harinam. So you'd have 150 people with torches and all these things and Harinam. So one night we did the Harinam, we came back and we would end with the Narsingha Stuti, means Narsingha Dev prayers, on the porch of the temple. So just as we were finishing Jai Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, so we were just about to finish and I was going to do Jai Dwani and a taxi cab pulls up. So in the taxi cab, we're waiting, the crowd parts and it's Maharaj. So even though we told Maharaj not to come, he came anyway and he got out. And when he got out, he danced into the courtyard and we started the kirtan all over again. And we just said, Jai Hari Bo, Hari Bo. So then Maharaj, another hour goes by of kirtan. So then the next morning, he says, yeah, I know you told me not to come, but it's so rare, the opportunities for devotees, that I'm coming to Africa on this time. So I did not want to miss and let them miss this opportunity. So I said, Maharaj, we don't have so much food. So we went, I remember, to one African-American family who had moved to Ghana, and they used to bake fresh bread. But now due to the shortage of flour, it was very limited. So we begged them, can we just have 2 loaves? And they were kind enough to give us those 2 loaves. So we went back to the temple, and then next morning for breakfast, we cooked the breakfast and everything. And I remember we sliced up that bread and we took small other things we had and we made a plate for Maharaj. So Maharaj sat down, we began to take prasadam. I was sitting with Maharaj and I only had the bananas, nuts and oranges. And Maharaj, we had the bread on his plate and everything. So, you're not gonna eat any bread? So I said, no, Maharaj, I'm not eating bread right now, this and that. I didn't want to say anything. So then he said, what about the devotees? You give them bread, they all have bread? So I said, well, Maharaj, there's only 2 loaves here. So we don't have enough bread to really give to all the devotees. So Maharaj got up, cut pieces of his bread, took the rest of the loaves, cut them, and went around to each devotee's plate giving out bread.
How do
You
you
understand?
go?
So this kind of, love and affection he had for devotees and kind of mood. So even in hard times, Maharaj was there. So I don't want to end with anything sad. So funny story, Maharaj is not very keen on needles. I don't know if anybody's ever been with Maharaj at the doctor, but Maharaj doesn't like getting shots. But he came once to Ghana and did not get his malaria shot. So we went to, so Maharaj, you're gonna have to get this shot. We all used to get them before we would leave America, but he didn't get it. So he had to get the shot while he was there. So we went to one doctor and, Maharaj was already nervous, I could tell, because whenever Maharaj is nervous, he speaks a certain way. So we were driving and we get to the doctor and we go inside. And so whenever Maharaj makes a lot of small talk, he's indicative he's nervous. Other than that, he's pretty only, he'll talk certain things philosophically or managerially. But he was talking to the doctor and he goes, yeah, how are you? Where you from? This, right? And then he asked the doctor, so you studied in America? And the doctor, it was so funny because he was such a good guy. He said, no, never studied in America. And he didn't say anything. So then Maharaj said, oh, you studied in UK. You got your medical license in UK. So the doctor didn't answer him. He said, no, didn't study in UK. And he kept prepping the needle and everything, right? So then he takes the needle out and he gets the swab out, the alcohol and everything. Somebody says, oh, well, where did you study? So the doctor looks at him and says, oh, my friends in my village told me I'd probably be pretty good at this. So I just started doing it. And then he was picking up Maharaj's arm. And Maharaj's face just really went blank, right? Because it's too late now, right? He's about to give the shot. And so then he says, I'm only kidding, Maharaj. I'm only kidding, sir. I studied at this place, and this place. But, then afterwards, Maharaj also had to laugh. You understand? So just many wonderful pastimes. You understand? There were difficult times as well.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Oh, my wife is speaking. My wife is a dentist, and she used to do his dental work. And she said he was always very good as a dental patient, though. If she had to give him a needle or anything, he was always and he used to tell me also, he would come and say, oh, your wife is very good. I don't feel so much fear with needles, everything around her, everything.
So Rohini would take care of Guru's dental needs, huh? Because she was a dentist, right?
Yeah. He would go regularly for his checkups and dental work to her while she was working there.
So now we know why Maharaj has such beautiful teeth, devotees.
Yeah. Maybe my wife knows she's also so good devotee. So it must be Maharaj gave us some blessings also.
Jai Hari Hari Bo, Hare Krishna. All right, Krishna Shakti, any more questions, Prabhu? Mataji, Didi.
Oh my goodness. So far, no more questions, but if you would like to leave us off with one more, we have 5 more minutes. We extended it just 5 more minutes. So if you would like to share something else that's coming to mind, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think maybe for sharing for devotees, something, there may be funny stories and many other things, but bhakti is a very serious thing. You should know that for anybody who wants to practice bhakti seriously, the relationship with Guru is indispensable. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has given 4 qualities about association with Guru. Guru Parasraya Tata Diksha Shikshari Visram Bena Guru Seva. So Guru Parasraya means to take shelter of Guru. Obviously, to take Diksha means to receive your mantras and Harinam from Sri Guru. Siksha means to understand the deep meaning of all these things. Should also come from Guru. And Visram Bena Guru Seva means when your heart and your Gurudev's heart become intimately connected. We naturally have awe and reverence for Guru, but Visramba means when love and affection becomes more prominent than awe and reverence. And when Gurudev enters Samadhi, it is that Visramba mood that becomes the deep feeling of separation that propels the advancement in bhakti. We've not met Radha Krishna or Mahaprabhu yet, so you cannot have deep mood of separation from them. The first experience of unconditional love anybody in this world has is when they meet Sri Guru. It is the first experience of unconditional love. In this world, kaitavam rahitam prema, na prema manushloke. In this world, there is no prema. There's conditional love, but no unconditional love. So when you meet Guru, it's the first time there's unconditional love. So when Guru enters Samadhi, it doesn't mean Guru Dev has died. In Sanskrit, the word Samadhi means Samadhi. Guru Dev enters into the place of their bhajan, and from there they enter into the Nitya Leela of Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu. That's why we say Nitya Leela Praveshta Om Vishnupad, etc. So now we think my Guru Dev is entered deeply into Samadhi. Now, every morning, when you sing, Sangsara Dava Navalida Loka, this is a very deep meditation on your love and affection with your Guru Dev. You understand? And it is that deep mood of separation in combination with the deep mood of meditation on Sri Guru that becomes the fuel for your advancement in bhakti. If you cannot develop that mood, very difficult to advance in bhakti. Understand? So Sri Guru is everything. So we will pray at the lotus feet of Sri Guru Dev, not just in awe and reverence, but like my bosom friend, my heart. Because to your boss, to everyone, you keep your own secrets. But when you have deep, loving relationship, that's when the secrets of your heart are shared. So Rupa Goswami told, disciple relationship must come to Visrambena Guru Seva. This mood must be there. So from today forward, when you sing tomorrow, Sangsara, tears should come to your eyes, because that very Guru, who is now in their perfected stage in Seva to Radha Krishna, saved your life, gave you real love for the first time, and gave you the opportunity that that love should blossom into the love of Shri Radha Krishna and Sriman Mahaprabhu. Jai Vancha Kalpa Truvescha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavani Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Hari Bol.
Jai Hari Krishna. Jai Hari Bol. You brought tears to my eyes. Hari Krishna.
Jai Hari Bol. Very good. Everybody should. You can't cry for Radha and Krishna because you've not had realization maybe yet. But Guru Dev, you saw, he gave you mercy. So this is your first tears that will come, will be tears in relation to Sri Guru.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Dhanavat Pranam devotees, all please give me your blessing, your mercy to continue serving to our Guru Parampara Mahaprabhu. Jai Radhe Radhe.
We actually have, oh gosh, we have one more question, and I'm not really supposed to ask this, but okay. So,
quickly.
All right. So I'm just going to read the comments real quick. All right. Thank you. This is from Mahesh. Thank you very much. Please send your blessings to me and my family. May you do some service for Guru Dev, to be able to do service for Guru Dev in the UK. And then he's in the chat said, my name is Upaladas. I so much appreciate revealing exciting narration of the wonderful pastimes of Guru Dev. I thank Mukunda Prabhu very much. My question is, if there are still some pictures of Guru Dev with some of the political leaders in Africa, these John Momo, Jerry Rawlings, President Kenneth Kaunda, etc.
Yes, I have one picture that I found in my treasury here of us with President Kaunda, and perhaps Brajalila Devi Ekaviya may have some. There were some pictures that were destroyed in our first preaching center there. Krishna Shakti, you remember the place on Ingraham Street? So there was some flooding there, and that some pictures got destroyed from Africa. But I'm sure at Gita Nagri, devotees must still be having some of the pictures, especially pictures with Muhammad Ali and some pictures with Rawlings. I don't know if they're left, but certainly with President Kaunda, those pictures were there. And also with the head of the UN, and of course with Nelson Mandela, also pictures are there. So like that. And you can go onto my Facebook page. I think in the pictures there, somewhere there are some older pictures as well. Also, and then also there are many classes on the things that I was speaking about now. So also, I think Ishupanishad Didi has my Facebook page. You can go there, look through pictures. There must be some there.
Thank you so
Jai devotees, I
much.
will have to take leave.
Jai
Okay,
Prabhu. Thank you so very much. Jai.
And I will see you when I travel to Shukrachad. I talk to my wife. We will come to Akron. So I will see you. And Krishna Shakti Didi, maybe also once we'll come to Kentucky. I just have to arrange my preaching.
Come on by. I'm about to go to Florida for a second, so I might see you down there. We'll see.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hari Hari Bol, thank you so much for the nectarian pastimes. This was definitely beautiful. And we're going to have to make sure we're archiving the pictures on your Facebook. Definitely.
Okay.
So thank you so much for sharing that nectar. Definitely. I want more too, but we'll save it for later. All right. Thank you,
Mukunda,
wife.
tell your
Hari,
beautiful wife Hare Krishna as well.
Yes.
We didn't get a chance to say hi.
She sends her thoughts to everyone as well.
Jai Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. All right. Okay. So this is concluding this session. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Kamita Prabhu and Daya Rupa from Nairobi, Kenya for offering the garlands. And thank you very much to His Grace Mukunda Das and Mother Shri Upanishad for introducing this wonderful nectar and sharing the nectarian pastimes and just allowing us to see the diversity and the dynamism of Gurudev as we know, but it's still nice to experience through other people's eyes and just hear the pastimes. So very, very grateful. Up next, we are going to take a break for, let's see, about 52 minutes. And we are going to have the schedule of the upcoming session 2 that I would like to read. For session 2, we'll start off with the video, and then Mother Shri Upanishad, and then disciples from around the world, and then we'll have a global cake and an interview with Bhakti Tirtha Swami's family and friends. So see you guys in 52 minutes. Hari!